have this little game that I play whenever I'm confronted with an apparent religious celebration that takes on the trappings of a parade. I ask people, what is this celebration? As always, I get multiple answers. One young man told me it's the special day of the Virgin, and a woman told me it's a celebration of Jesus. Yet another man said, I don't really know. It's a fiesta. Hello and welcome back to the channel from Argentina, and from a beautiful but often overlooked part of Argentina in the country's northwest. I'm in the Quebrada de Humahauca, the ravine of Humahuaca, which is really a narrow 155-kilometer long valley in the Andes, about 3 or 4 hours north of the city of Salta. More precisely, I'm in the gorgeous colonial town of Humahuaca, one of numerous rustic towns in this region, filled with a unique blend of indigenous and Spanish-influenced culture and surrounded by rugged mountains and unforgettable landforms. Many people these days visit Humahuaca from Salta to the south as part of a long day trip, or more practically an overnight side trip. Others do as I did and made this a natural stopover on my way south, coming from Bolivia and the Altiplano that reaches down to touch the Argentine border, about 2.5 to 3 hours by bus from here.
Esta mamita 2.500 la grande y 1.500 la chiquitita.
Although it's a continuation of the same spectacular scenery you see from the Altiplano of Bolivia to the south into Argentina, there's definitely a different feel here. It's of course a different country, it's developed in a different way, but with respect to the indigenous people here, they're not in the proportionate numbers as you would see in nearby Bolivia or in Peru. And that is because of a sad historical fact. Like the United States, Argentina, to put it bluntly, mainly killed off its indigenous people. And that, of course, was not true of Bolivia and Peru. I arrived here yesterday, and my hostel is across the river from the main part of town in a semi-rural setting. And I've got to tell you, walking to and from the river last night, I think I could see nearly every star in the sky. And while at 9,600 feet elevation, it's chilly here, it's worth being here for the nature alone. Humahuaca straddles the Rio Grande River, which during snowmelt in the Andes turns the river into a roaring stream a couple of months out of the year. While at other times, including now, the river is a dry riverbed with only a small stream coursing through it. The town is well preserved from colonial times. It's a high-altitude community amid rugged, arid mountains, and that's reflected in the stonework and the design elements you see in its plazas. The beautiful City Hall building, which probably dates to the 19th century, but the town itself, of course, is much older. was settled in the 1500s because it was a logical place to set up a semi-slave labor under the auspices of the church among the plentiful number of indigenous people. Humahuaca may be small, but it has an outsized place in Argentine history. In fact, looking up from the center of town, you'll see a military monument on the top of a hill that looks like it belongs more in Buenos Aires than in a small town in the northwest of the country. This was a pivotal point in Argentina's War of Independence from Spain, with no fewer than 14 battles fought in and around Humahuaca in the 8 years leading up to independence in 1825. Needless to say, this is a place of pilgrimage for Argentinians.
Nadie adelante mío, me paro y quiero a todos detrás.
This monument is also a valuable place for another reason, and that is for the incredible views it offers of the town and the valley below.
The high desert country around Humahuaca is filled with worthwhile places to see. I've chosen to let a taxi guide service take me high into the surrounding mountains to one of those places.
Piedra natural y con erosión dice el cartel bienvenido a
De Jujuy. Jujuy y el caballero, ¿de dónde son?
Estados Unidos.
Estados Unidos.
We've come to Cerro de 14 Colores, or the Mountain of 14 Colors. It's a magnificent place, as seen from a commanding vantage point high on a mountain ridge. There's only one problem this day. It's extremely windy. No usable audio here. Only me doing my imitation of a TV weatherman in a hurricane.
I just got back to the SUV. I'm here with my guide, Rene, who tells me he comes up and down this mountain at least 3 times each day as part of his work experience. We're at 14,200 plus feet, and in any other circumstances you would think that at least during the coldest or the wettest part of the year where I'm sitting on this mountaintop would be snow. But as Renee was explaining to me, it rarely snows here at this altitude, and of course it's only because of the relationship to the equator, which is not terribly far away. Those mountains, or the mountain that has the colors across this valley, they're higher than where we are, and yet it stays dry there the year round for the most part.
En invierno hay este año nevó poco, el año pasado un poco más, pero desaparece rápido porque aquí sale el sol muy fuerte, entonces en el día la nieve desaparece.
So, just as I thought, he's saying that, you know, maybe it'll snow a little up here, but because the sun is so strong that it melts in almost no time. There's a tremendous temperature difference outside this SUV as opposed to in it. I feel like I'm in a hot box right now. You can grow tomatoes in here, but step outside and it is gusty and it is very cool.
There's something to be said about traveling a high mountain road that isn't paved. Somehow, it makes the whole experience seem more authentic.
el espacio y las velocidades.